Hi, everyone. We are here with Imelda Diaz, who is the Director of Engineering for the Harris County Flood Control District. And when I tell people I work at the county, the number one thing they ask me about is flood control. And I know it's a huge priority for our Commissioners Court and for the public. And you're out doing that work to reduce flooding risk every day. So tell us a little bit about what you do at the Flood Control District. I gather you're overseeing a lot of work on a lot of different projects.
Absolutely. So thank you for having me, Dave.
Thank you for coming.
So I have been at the Flood Control District for 24 years now. I started as an administrative assistant, but now I am the Director of Engineering, and I manage the Capital Projects Department and the Maintenance Engineering Departments. I have a staff of 62 fantastic employees, which includes about 27 engineers.
Right. And I know you were reluctant to talk about yourself when we were getting ready for this, but I think it's just such an interesting story about your career journey. So tell us a little bit about what led you to go to become a professional engineer and how you were able to progress in your career.
Well, I started again as an administrative assistant about 24 years ago. And while I was there, I was going to school. And right when I got to the point that I had done my basics, I had at the same time had just been promoted to the engineering division office manager at that time. And I had to make up my mind about which major to go forward with. And I was really hesitant, and I do recall a conversation that I had with the director of administrative services, Marquette Harkinson, at that time, and she kind of put that idea in my mind about, well, why you're in the engineering division now?
Right.
Why don't you proceed or pursue engineering? And I was definitely it was a no, very flat out no. But as I kept that in the back of my mind, and I was working in the engineering division, and then I was moved to the Project Brace team.
Okay.
And at that time, I was surrounded by engineers.
Mm-hmm.
I had an excellent mentor, and they really pushed me, and they really worked with me to the point that they were saying, Imelda, you're already doing the work.
Right.
Okay, you're doing the engineering work. You're out there. You're helping citizens. All you have to do is get that piece of paper, and you will be surprised. So okay. So I made up my mind, and I decided let's do it. I went forward, and I went to school for another 5 years probably.
Right.
I graduated, and then from there I became an assistant project manager. Then I got my license for professional engineer. Then I became a project manager, and then a department manager, and now the director.
That's fantastic, and I'm so glad you did decide to get that engineering degree, and we're all better off for it. And I think it's a great story about how the county can be a positive place for people to work, and not just have a long tenure, but really advance their careers. So I'm so glad you shared that with us. Tell us a little bit about your workload now, and maybe how it compared to 5 years ago. I know we are just investing so much more than we used to in flood control.
So before the bond, we had a lot of projects, and we only had $60 million, right, of capital improvement funding. So we probably only bid out maybe 5 or 6 projects a year within that limit. As soon as the bonds came through, I mean,
So this was 2018, right after Harvey, right?
Yes, right after Harvey, and everything just it's massive. I mean, we had 181 projects that we had to initiate, and remember, 181 projects are just the bond projects, but we have several sub projects under those bond IDs. Right. So you're talking about 400 projects probably at any given time.
Yeah.
We probably the first year after the bond, give or take, we advertised almost $200 million.
Wow.
Worth of projects.
Right.
So yes, it's definitely has increased substantially.
Well, I was looking at this the other day, and I see that flood control is now investing over 10 times as much in projects as they used to. So, yes. I mean, I think it's just a reminder of how much we're asking of the people working at flood control, right? And I know the department's grown, but you don't have 10 times the resources you used to have. So thank you so much for your hard work, and to your team. Tell us a little bit more about how does design of a project work, right? So how do you identify the need, and then how do you turn that to a project that you can go bid out and actually build?
Okay, so once we get our project from planning, our design engineers will take that plan, and then they will fine tune it by going through the environmental assessments, going through your utility relocations, and then find the best project that delivers the best benefits
Right.
um, at the most economical cost at that point. And that's the project that they're going to recommend for final design.
And maybe you could walk us through an example of how that design process worked and really came up with a project that could actually be built.
Well, the project that I like to use as an example is the Braze Bayou Federal Flood Damage Reduction Project. We call it Project Braze. And I like to use that project just because it really demonstrates the magnitude of the time and the effort and the funding that is required to be able to deliver a flood damage reduction project in more of a watershed level.
Mm-hmm.
So that project was identified by the Corps of Engineers because of the frequent flooding that the Braze experienced throughout the years. They went through their feasibility and the preliminary engineering, and then the flood control district took the lead on implementing that project. And we had to really, this project included 75 individual projects. So we had to analyze the sequencing of that project. How can we construct this project without having any impacts in the interim, right? So we had to determine that the detention basins would go first. That way they will hold the water. And then the channel widening is the second phase because at that point it's available to receive the stormwater, right?
Right. And so once you had it all planned out, how long did it take to actually implement that project? Or I guess you said it was 75 different projects.
75 individual projects. It took us 20 years.
Wow. But how many people did that help? How many structures did it reduce the risk of flooding?
15,000 structures.
15,000 structures. Well, I think that's fantastic, and I'm betting that's part of what's kept you motivated these 24 years to keep doing the work. And Imelda, I just was so glad you could tell us a little bit about what you do every day in your career here. I'm sure people appreciated hearing from you, and we will talk to you all next time.